Imagine having a mother-in-law like this one. A daughter-in-law will make her husband distance himself from his family as she is feeling threatened by the close family bond. But wait, there's more. A toxic daughter-in-law play the victim card to get their partner's attention and blame the mother-in-law, I'm reading it verbatim, for their problems. But wait, there's more. And I am going somewhere with this. I'm all about exposure today. That's what I feel like, because my next video is going to be about boundaries. Just wait. A toxic daughter, in-law, okay, it was spaced out, I didn't see it, have a narcissistic, selfish, and insensitive time, especially with her mother-in-law. In fact, even she had the best mother-in-law in the world. This person treat her badly. But wait, there's more. Why a daughter-in-law can alienate grandparents, insecurity over parenting, jealousy of a child's love for the grandparents, even jealousy of their spouse's love for the parents. Oh, somebody was in competition and I don't think it was the daughter-in-law. These can all trigger a desire to alienate grandparents. Okay, so now I'm going to play you a little video. Actually, we have two because you have to hear it. So this mother-in-law posted all these things and then she posted this.
Daughter-in-law, stop stalking me. There is nothing for you to see at all. I'm not talking about alienation anymore and you're still stalking me.
She hasn't stopped talking about alienation. That video was made after those posts, but she has posts after this video talking about alienation. And I imagine, as I'm experienced in the field of family estrangement, I'm a therapist specializing in narcissistic family systems. I imagine that the reason, and I don't know how she knows her daughter-in-law is watching her content, she's probably making sure that her children aren't featured, like their faces and things like that. Because a lot of these types of estranged parents, because they're not all the same, will take license with their grandchildren who they view as property and post them online, whether or not the parent wants that, right? Or is allowing for that. And of course, in this situation, I think it's pretty safe to assume, even though I don't like assuming, that this daughter-in-law would absolutely not want her children's faces at a minimum on this mother-in-law's page, on her mother-in-law's page. Anywhoosie, let's keep going.
Make your own TikToks, darling. You don't need to stalk me. I said I've had enough, but I haven't had enough of you. You're easy to block and it's easy to see it's you. I'm sick of the younger generation. I'm sick of the bullying. So I said I'm not doing any more TikToks on alienation.
Liar, liar, pants on fire. Hasn't stopped. Just a little reminder. Do they not understand that, well, first of all, the internet is forever, although she could take this video down and I wouldn't, if I weren't on her, if I didn't screen record it, I probably wouldn't know about it. But one, it's forever. And two, she's just said, I'm not going to do it anymore. And immediately, like her next 3 videos, blah, 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 all the same kind of stuff. So what does that say? I'm just wondering, what do you think? What do you think that says? Can we believe her?
So go away. If you're so interested in my life, ring me. I've had enough of you, and you know that. So off you go. Go make your own TikToks and watch them. You might get something out of it. You might learn something. Maybe the other grandmothers might tell you a couple of home truths. All right. Thanks, everyone, for watching.
Okay, so now I'm going to play you a video which I think tells us everything that we need or didn't need to know about this estranged parent and where they're coming from and what their mindset is like and why they will forever be estranged as long as they hold this kind of attitude. I have played this before on another video, but I want to put it here because I know there's a lot of daughter-in-laws and son-in-laws who are dealing with this type of parent out there. And I hope you find this helpful. And even for people in the estrangement community, like estranged parents, if you are following people like this who are doubling down on this type of behavior instead of saying to you, listen, you're in a terrible situation. My heart goes out to you. I'm there with you. Let's heal together. Let's work on our healing journey and we'll do it for ourselves. And maybe if our estranged child determines one day that they're coming back, oftentimes they do within the first 3 years, by the way, maybe we'll be in a place where we can receive them in a different way and start to heal that relationship too. But if that never happens, we can live our own best life as much healthier people. But this is not that. This is the Misery Loves Company and Toxicity Club. This is the victim card playing club. The very thing that they accuse the adult children of doing, the victim card. When we say, listen, you really hurt me in my childhood and I would like to heal from these things. And more importantly, and this is where no contact actually happens, I would like you in my adult life to be a safe person for me that isn't continuing to re-traumatize me. And these are some of the things that you're doing that really hurt me. And I'm going to throw down a boundary with you, because they hate boundaries except for themselves, right? Their boundary is we're not allowed to talk about it. Their boundary is respect that it's in the past, right? They're allowed to have boundaries, we're not. By the way, I was an estranged parent 20 years ago. I've been, in a relationship with all of my children for forever. One of my daughters is estranged, and now she asks me for parenting advice. So I'd say we're in a pretty good place, right? We've been back together for a good 20 years. All this to be said, I've been on both sides of the track. And, when you have somebody like this out there who isn't willing to take any accountability and accuses the adult children of shrouding themselves in victimhood when they're actually trying to resolve and conflict resolve, because we get accused all the time of not having conflict resolution skills, which isn't a lie. Because it takes a while to build those, and we have to start from scratch, because when you grow up under a parent like this, there is no conflict resolution skills in the making, in the building, in the modeling, none of it. It is my way or the highway, and your feelings are invalid, and I'm going to do whatever I want to you because you are my property. You are not a separate human being. So is it any wonder that we grow up and we are terrified of conflict to the point that we're not developing any resolution skills? We don't know what that looks like. We've not had safe interactions to see that through. Then we go to therapy and we learn about boundaries and we learn about abuse, and we learn that a lot of the things that were normalized weren't actually healthy and normal and all of those things. And now the next step is we learn how to resolve conflict, only to find out that this parent who tells us we're not good at that is actually the one who isn't interested in engaging in conflict resolution. They are the agree to disagree types of people. And there is a time and place for that. But when you're using it as the card in your back pocket, every time things don't go your way, you don't have the skills that you need to have. I'm on a tangent. Okay, so let's carry on. This is why, in my opinion, this woman will always be no contact.
I just saw a TikTok with a lady saying to apologise to our children for stuff we done to them as a mother. Sorry, but I'm not apologising to any of my children. I have 4, and they're all adults.
Would that include also you're never apologizing to your daughter-in-law? Asking for a friend.
And they're all very intelligent human beings. They had a really good life. So
fairly really good life.
I am not apologising to my adults. They all have children. I have one daughter. I have 3 sons. They are all beautiful adults, and I love them dearly. But if I made mistakes bringing them up, there's no rule book, and I'm sure they're going to make mistakes bringing their kids up, because there's no rule book, is there? We do the best we can. If your child wants an apology, tell them to go.
Listen up, estranged parents. What does it cost you to acknowledge and validate your adult child for things that they feel that they're hurting from? Like what does that cost you? Is the cost of never having a relationship with them higher than the cost of acknowledging, I'm sorry I hurt you? You don't get to agree or disagree with what they experience because you aren't in their body from their perspective. You, like this thing about, I'm going to die on the hill of no contact because I'm right, instead of doing the right thing and actually healing your relationships. Who are you really punishing here, by the way? Do you realize that the loss that you're going to continue to have if you're this estranged parent, no loss, but if you're the type of parent that's really out there looking to heal, do you realize that but for your ego and maybe a lack of emotional maturity, you could actually have a really beautiful relationship with your adult child and have the things that they need healing from, that you can help them heal from, be the bridge that makes for a more solid foundation in your relationship? My adult children talk to me about all sorts of stuff from their childhood, good, bad, and otherwise. And they don't do it in a way to go, oh, you did this. It's never been like that. And when they bring up something sensitive, they care about how I feel. They're not worried about my emotions, but they care about how I feel. When they bring up like things where, this is what I was going through when you were doing this or that, or this is what you missed, or this is what you did, I'm not like, that didn't happen, or, oh, I wasn't perfect, because it's not a character assassination. They're not looking for a perfect parent. They're looking for love and safety. That's all we ever wanted. I'm an estranged adult child of over 30 years. My mother's a sociopath and a narcissist. I'm never going to get the mother experience. I've made peace with that. I am so grateful that at some point in time I figured out that validating my children actually made me what's called a good mother rather than a bad mother. And that they, just like I, can accept that none of us are perfect, but we can handle things so much better. Why can't she apologize? Why? Why can't you apologize? What is it about that? Do some self-examination and figure out why that's such a hard thing for you. Because it actually doesn't have anything to do with your adult child. It has to do probably with your inner child, who doesn't know how to be vulnerable and doesn't understand that when you take ownership of something, it's actually really freeing. There are things that my eldest daughter said to me that I don't remember the same way that she does. And that's not important to me. How she felt about the experience is what matters. And I can 100 bajillion, I don't know if there's a number high enough, apologize for that and validate her, because it's obvious to me that she has hurt feelings around that. And more importantly, I can respect whatever her boundaries are. She's not trying to control me. They're not trying to control you. This isn't about control. This is about the right to have respect, which is a two-way street. This is about their right to not be spoken to in a certain way, or have you maybe do certain things with their children Not your grandchildren, their children. Yes, they're your grandchildren, but you don't have rights to them. You're not raising them. The other day, my daughter shared something with me, and I went into like apparently a lecture. I didn't think it was a lecture. She thought it was a lecture. And again, how she perceived it, how she felt about it matters. It's valid. It's valid. And so we had a little back and forth about that because she wasn't very happy with me. And at the end of towards the end of the conflict resolution conversation, it wasn't agree to disagree. It was, what would you prefer me do moving forward? Oh my God. I gave away all my power to my adult child. Yes, I rolled my eyes and they're going to come out the back of my head. And she's like, well, I'm not really sure. I said, so how about this? If you don't specifically ask me for advice around something, I won't give it. You vent. I'll take it as you're just venting. And if you need my advice about something, you ask me and I'll give it. And she's like, yeah. Then we talked about that a little bit more, kind of created some boundaries around there. There was something else that happened where I had to create a boundary. I'm allowed to have them too. It's a reciprocal relationship. And then guess what? Now that was about, I don't know, 6 months ago or something. Neither one of us have broken the boundary. And I anticipate that if we slip, we can have grace for each other because we know that we care about each other's feelings. Throw in a little reminder if need be, and, keep moving forward. I won't break the boundary. I know I won't. I can't guarantee she won't break the boundary that I set. It was around another relationship. Like, it wasn't a big boundary. It's just something that occurred. And if she does, I'll just gently remind her, hey, can you remember, kind of thing. And that'll be that. It doesn't have to become a big catastrophe. It becomes a big catastrophe when it's a continuous pattern of behavior where the boundary is set and 3 times later, 2 times later, 4 times later, you cross it. It's reset. And then again, you cross it. It's reset. And then again, you cross it. This is not that. Everybody has a moment where they kind of lose their mind a little bit. And that's where grace belongs. It's not a blanket. Grace is not a blanket. Okay, let's carry on.
Because you know what? They're spoiled adults. Really? Unless something drastically horrible happened. No. We worked damn hard when we brought our kids up. There was no handouts. We had to pay for all the school fees, all the school books.
Oh, so only drastic things that she deems drastic are things that you should apologize for to your spoiled adult children. And they paid for things. They paid for school books and school fees. Oh, you met your parental obligation to educate your children? I bet you roof over the head. I don't remember the whole video. I bet you roof over the head is somewhere in here because, that's something they should be grateful for. Beyond the words of toxic.
Take them on holidays every year, which we done. I worked, my husband worked, we brought up 4.
So they get a medal because they both worked.
Wouldn't you love to have a time machine? And I'd love to go back and ask my mother for an apology of my childhood and my mother to ask her mother for an apology. I'm telling you now, I reckon we wouldn't be standing because they would have punched you in the face.
So she couldn't go to her parents or grandparents for an apology because they would slap her in the face. And she didn't learn anything from that. Like, that couldn't have felt good to know that you couldn't have your feelings validated by your parents and grandparents. So she's basically saying they weren't safe people. She'll hide it behind a generational thing that they never apologized and whatever. By the way, I'm 59. I've been no contact for over 30 years. The internet didn't make me do it because this feels like all of that, right? So she knows what it feels like not to have validation from her parents and grandparents. She does talk about her mother in another video where they were ever so close and the best relationship ever. But in this one, she would slap you if you looked for validation or accountability or an apology. Make it make sense. The math isn't mathing. So many of us who broke the cycle, who continue to break the cycle, who have ended up in no contact, because none of us want to be no contact. I prefer to have had a loving mother, a mother who is a safe person in my life, and have a family. That's my first choice. I wasn't dreaming as a little girl, when I grow up, I'm going to be an adult orphan, and have to go to therapy and, all this stuff because of who my mother was and my grandparents and my narcissistic family system. This was not what I dreamed of. I'm just like, So many of us took the things that hurt us and made sure not to carry those things forward. Some of us overcompensated, not a good thing, by the way. Guilty. But at the end of the day, what's supposed to happen through our life experience is anything that hurt us, anything that was unsafe to us, etc., that kind of thing, made us uncomfortable, whatever it was, we're supposed to learn from those things and understand how those things felt, have that experience to know that we don't want to put other people in the situation from our hands, our mouth, whatever, from our words, to feel those same hurts and pains. So in other words, my mother used to call me damaged goods. That really hurt. That was one of the reasons I didn't have self-esteem. And I thought I was damaged goods. Do you think I'm then going to call my kids damaged goods knowing what it did to me? My mother never apologized, took ownership. She won't be a part of my blame game. Those are her literal words. She put that in writing. Do you think I'm going to do that to my children? My dear, dear estranged parents out there, if you want to be happy, this isn't it. If you think this is going to set you free, this isn't it. This woman is obsessed over her daughter-in-law and really like raking her over the coals, blaming her for everything in life, instead of trying to take a moment and look for her part in it. She doesn't care to make anybody feel better. She wants the misery loves company. I know I said it. I got to double down on it. Okay, let's finish this out.
Wow. I just don't believe that the adults that are coming up today apology. Well, wouldn't it be lovely to be able to go back to their grandmother and their great-grandmother and their great-grandmother and ask for that and see what they got? Wow, that would be a whole heap of adult children going to therapy, that's for sure. Anyway, I did giggle.
Okay, so she had a giggle over it. She thinks it's funny. And why would I go back? Well, I should go back to my grandmother. My grandmother definitely owes me an apology. She's dead and gone. So does my grandfather. But she's going great-grand and great-grand. She's basically hiding behind, it's the generational curse abuse sort of thing. And we don't get to hide behind that because every generation has choices. We have free will. We can decide who we want to be in the world. We might have to have some, bumps and lumps to figure out we're not functional and figure out like we need some help and things like that. But at the end of the day, we have a choice to do better or not. And why would I go back and apologize to the dead people that, maybe they set the ball in motion when they're not the ones who actually hurt me? And then she says something about they're going to be, the adult children are going to be in a lot of therapy. We are, because of you. And yeah. Anywho, what are your thoughts? What do you think? And if you're an estranged parent and nobody throws shade on an estranged parent putting a comment in here, I don't care what the comment is. You can comment back and be respectful. This is a safe space. So in other words, don't call them names and whatever. So if there's an estranged parent who makes a comment, especially if it's somebody genuinely trying to learn, let's give them support. What do you think about who this person is, what they're saying, and why did you estrange? Like, share your thoughts and feelings. What does this bring up for you? And while we're on the topic of that, also in the comments section, what would you like to see? What would you like me to create content around? What questions do you have? Drop them in the comments section, because this is how we heal and grow together. Thank you so much for being here. And, I wish everybody out there the best on their healing and growth journey.